Hello everyone. So, as of recording this, what box is this called? The Hive Prize box just dropped as of yesterday. Probably around, I think, this time. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, I'm not too big on this, but, after finally getting to look at the boxes or look at the box more, see like what contents are inside of it and all, I'm beginning to think, no, I don't like this box. And that in of itself is fine, but there's a number of things about it that really have me concerned for the artistic direction of Spiral Knights. Because there's a lot going on with this one. And this is... The more I looked at this box, the more I'm like, this is now starting to become a growing trend, I've noticed. So, first and foremost, best thing to do would just be to go to Haven and actually take a look at them. Alright, so, taking a look at some of the cosmetics, I want to take a look at the armors and helmets first. Because they feel very... I want to say out of place. I mean, because like this box on a both visual and thematic level is very not consistent with Spiral Knight's art style, and I'll get more into the art style. Actually, I should probably talk about that first now I think about it. It's simply put, when you compare, and I'm gonna do this for example, just to showcase this off. I've got... Okay, no, not that. This is what I started the game off with. The Spiral Sallet and the Spiral Brigandine. This is Spiral Knights' core art style. Going into, say, like the armors, for example, I'm going to pull up the Hexoskeleton, because I'm not really a fan of that. It's, this armor is very frumpy, as I like to put it. You've got this big backpack in the back, and for some reason a lot of the armor looks like the armor in the top part of the legs here looks weird, and is this prismatic? Oh, it's prismatic. That explains why it was so blue. Let me just grab like a military one just for example. Okay, so like I know this is a bug theme box, but it's also very cybernetic, and Spiral Knights has always had a slight industrial vibe to it, or a mechanical vibe to it in one way or another. But my issue here comes from the fact that like this looks more cybernetic, mechanical, rather than like Spiral Knights is more grounded, and I don't want to say grounded, more industrial sort of mechanical. And you can kind of see this for the most part, and I feel like this is starting to lead into like, between the way that it looks frumpy, it's highly detailed, and there's a lot of weird gold accents that are present onto this armor. And this is also the first armor that has had gold accents. The other prize box with the wizards also had gold accents on it, but overall, I look at this, and I see. I'm just gonna pull it back up again. I look at this, and I look at the helmet, and I'm like, it's very highly detailed. And that the detail is fine. It's definitely trying to go for like obviously like a mech suit sort of look, because it's a cybernetic bug. But I look at this and I'm like, this just looks like Gundam armor, and that's not something Spiral Knights really has. Spiral Knights has always been more, knightly focused. It's got chibi bodies. The art style for Spiral Knights is chibi, but this just kind of feels more anime than chibi, if I'm to be honest with you. And to show, I think the worst offender of this, and I'm actually going to grab specifically the one I saw yesterday that kind of just drove me up the wall, because I was talking about this with friends last night. So if I can find it here, here it is, the Volcanic Pollinator. This is really the armor piece that just kind of ruins it all for me. It's just that you know, you've got the helmet. I put some accessories on it because I'm goofy and whatnot, but like I look at these two and these just clash so much. You know, the lack of detail, and like the thing with Spiral Knights too is like the detailing and the fidelity of it all. For like the fidelity is what kind of spooks me a bit, because this is very highly detailed, whereas Spiral Knights has kind of reservations with its detailing and its fidelity, and I think that's less of a byproduct of Spiral Knights' specific art style rather than Spiral Knights' age. But at the same time, I think that's because it's been like this for so long. You could arguably say that, oh, this is kind of Spiral Knights' art style a little bit. It's always been a little bit softer. It's always been a little bit fuzzier. It's always been a little more reserved with its hard-on details. And we've also, I mean, we have had cosmetics that have been more detailed. I believe we have a puffer in the auction house. Like, okay, I guess not. There are armors out there that are more detailed from a number of years ago. I mean, for example, this heavy captain's outfit, this is a little more on the detailed side, but it's also still a lot more subdued and not extremely flashy. It's still very flat, still very monotone with its color. It doesn't have anything that really like pops out in your face. Whereas, again, with the Volcanic Pollinator, a lot of stuff is shiny, it's metallic, it's got normal, some of the stuff has normal mapping. It's very bright and in your face, which some cosmetics in Spiral Knights are. That some of them are kind of bright, but these armor guards really are very strong in your face. It's very contrasting because there's a lot of shadowing, there's a lot of shining. Really, the thing that feels most in line with Spiral Knights' art style is whatever this plume is. This neck plume. I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you. So I'm going to move on to the helmets now, because like I don't like the style. I guess I should have probably prefaced this. Here's my main point. I don't like the style. I don't like this promo box. I think it's a step in the wrong direction for Spiral Knights, both visually, cosmetically, and thematically. Let me just put on, so I've got that helmet there. Let me just put on something that's like old school, like this hollow flak jacket. As you can tell, I mean, there's obviously detailing on the flak jacket and armor here, but compared to the helmet here, which you can literally see is actually shiny compared to Spiral Knight's normal armor, there's a metallic shine to it, so there is like a layer applied, or an effect applied to it. Even the eyes shine a little bit. It's very, very much more detailed than other usual Spiral Knight stuff. And there's a lot more extra modeling added to it to make it stand out. I mean, obviously there's still some semblance of old school stuff, like the energy symbol right here that you usually see here. Bolts, rivets, all that stuff. But these kind of stand out a lot, and the cosmetics aren't really the only thing I have issue with. It's really the whole promo set. Actually, the Arthro helmet is probably, I think, about the only thing that feels salvageable from this in terms of like Spiral Knights' art style, because the helmet feels very in line with Spiral Knights' types of armors and cosmetics. And I know what I'm saying here is going to be contentious in terms of cosmetics, because there's a number of cosmetics that don't fall in line with Spiral Knights' art style, tones, and themes. There's been a lot of deviations from it, but I think at this point, starting from the Wizards, we've reached an era where the Spiral Knights cosmetics have fundamentally, visually, and thematically changed. And I mean, I really don't think that's a hard argument to counter, because the content here is of a much higher fidelity. It's of a much higher quality, and that's not in of itself a bad thing, mind you. I think, getting higher quality stuff is great, as I think would most people agree, but here I think we kind of slightly got blinded by the wizard stuff for a little bit, because like wizards are cool and all. Everybody's like, oh my god, new content, oh my god, wizards, oh my god, so much cool stuff. But I feel like here with the bugs, it's very apparent that this art direction, be it intentional or not, this art directional change is a bit concerning. It doesn't feel like Spiral Knights. Like, as I said, was the helmet. It looks very much in line with like other Spiral Knights visual thematics. It's just, again, still very detailed. I mean, again, the helmet shines, which I don't really know many Spiral Knights cosmetics that do shine. It's cool if this was applied universally across the game, but as far as I'm aware, and maybe I haven't checked enough and actually decided to look into it. I don't think the armor should be shining unless everything else is. And of course, again, a lot of the stuff is highly detailed, high fidelity, and that kind of makes it stand out very much against the grain of a lot of other Spiral Knights cosmetics that have existed beforehand. It feels very contrasting. Again, just to bring up that other image I had with the Spiral Salad, which, granted, that's one of the first things that was ever released in Spiral Knights, so maybe I'm kind of cherry picking here with my examples. Because Spiral Knights, like, visually has evolved over the years. I think most things, like, most games, when it comes to their visual style, so long as it's, like, been a game that has been around and received updates over the years, has had visual updates. Look at Minecraft. Look at Team Fortress 2. And I'll get back to Team Fortress 2, actually, in a little bit, because that's kind of something I want to bring up. But, Spiral Knights' art style has kind of relatively been the same, with modernizations to its modeling and texture work. But Spiral Knights' art style has, but like this feels like a kind of a, I don't want to say a departure, but like maybe, well, no, I think I do want to say a bit of a departure from what it was before, because it doesn't feel like it fits in line with the rest of Spiral Knights' art style. Thematically, to like, I know Spiral Knights has always had some kind of goofy stuff released. I know we've had like monkeys, we've had pirates come back recently. We've had wizards, we ate that up. But there's also still been a lot of cosmetics that kind of fell in line with Spiral Knights' art style. Like, even this is, like, as a slight departure as this could arguably be from Spiral Knights, it still feels like it would exist in universe. I'm trying to find a good example. Like, again, the Buccaneers stuff is not really thematic to that of Spiral Knights, but even then, at least it's a little. It still has like that Spiral Knights style to it, as you can tell. Whereas the bug stuff just feels very. Just, hey, here's a Gundam bug. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it fits, to be honest with you. And it's not just the armor pieces too. The shield, oh boy. The shield, I've got very big reservations with the shield, to be honest. I think it, if we were to keep this, like, I mean, obviously we're keeping this event, but my opinion on the shield is that I think less would have been more in this case. I think had the shield not actually have any animation and just been extended out like this, remove the antennae so that way it's just a flat static shield, so that way it's not live, and maybe even remove the legs so that way it just looks like a shield, I think this would have actually at least been a decent enough shield. Sure, I still don't like the extreme style that this has with very detailed metal, very shiny metal. very metallic looking outlines compared to other metallic stuff in Spiral Knights. I think had it just been static like that and the sheet and just the eyes, I think it would have been at least a decent enough shield visually. I think that could have been a really cool idea, but and you know, not to say that a roly-poly bug, a pill bug, isn't a cool idea for a shield. It's just that it doesn't. I think it's a bit much for the concept of a shield. And I know we've had weirder things for shields. I am well aware of that. I don't necessarily like the I believe it's the owlite candle that we have as a shield. I'm not fond of that. In fact, in general, I'm not really too big on costume shields. I never really liked their inclusion into the game, and you can call me like Mr. Miser for that one. Sure, fine, whatever. But I feel like the roly-poly shield kind of should have just been static. You know, nothing crazy about it. No, I mean, maybe the antennae. Maybe what you could have done with the antennae is make it like a painted thing onto the shield. That way you keep it more bug-looking. But still, I think the shield should have just been this rounded bit here, because that would have been perfect visually. That would have looked like a shield versus an actual bug. Just kind of like you're literally just holding a bug. Like, fuck, this may as well just be a battle sprite at this point, and if you're gonna add animations like that, to be honest. May as well make a defensive bug battle sprite. And the accessories are another thing I have gripes with. What is this? I know they're horns, but like, forgive me, but like, I'm not normally the type to be extremely opinionated on Spiral Knights, but what the actual fuck is this? What are these horns? I don't want to shit on the. I don't want to like shit on like Grey Havens if they do make it. I'm confused. Like, what is this cosmetic? I'm more so insulting the cosmetic, because I don't want that sort of like mindset going into place. Like, no offense to Grey Havens, they're only there to make cosmetics so that way they can continue funding the game. I appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm concerned about these cosmetics, because visually I'm like, this doesn't even look good. And then second, it's like, as a cosmetic, it's like, what is the purpose of this? What exactly makes this interesting to put on a piece of armor? Because there are some ones that actually kind of aren't so bad, to be honest with you. If I can find it, the bug tennis. I like the bug tennis because they look, for the most part, they look generic enough to not really be interpreted as bug antennas. They could definitely fit within Spiral Knights, aside from maybe like the wiggling animation. A lot of this stuff in this promo got animations, which I've never been too big on animations, to be honest with you, when it comes to cosmetics. Particle effects, sure, but I've never really cared for them too much, so I mean, it's fine, but like, oh man, what is this? Looking at the crests, we can see that they're very highly detailed. And the crests have always been something that's kind of ignored in Spiral Knights. There's no doubt about it, and it's nice to see that crests have received some sort of love in this promo box. But again, I don't know. Spiral Knights' art style has kind of been a lot, at least when it comes to its visual symbolism, it's been very angular, minimalist, and mechanical. Any sort of like curvature, like circles or curves, have always been kind of reserved and made in use for things that have made sense, such as like, you know, symbols for the undead, the cores for slimes, circles and holes for the for like wrenches and the energy symbol. Here, a lot more circular and curved detailing has been applied onto the crest. The beetle is a beetle. It's not very minimal. I mean, it's minimalist, but it's not Spiral Knights minimalist, which is very, very minimal in its symbolism and design. Which, again, further adds to the idea that there's a lot more detail in here, which, again, more detail necessarily isn't a bad thing. It's just maybe not in line with Spiral Knights' style. The thing that really kind of bugs me, though, pun not intended, is that there's a gradient on the crest, which is really weird. Spiral Knights crests never had gradients. Actually, a lot of things in Spiral Knights that really don't have gradients all too much. And it really kind of, it's really kind of bright and out there when you look at it. You know, sure, it's the green thing on this cosmetic set, but when you're looking at the crest, I feel like my eyes are drawn towards the very light part of the crest, because that's where the gradient starts. That's where the light part of the gradient starts, whereas the bottom, it's a lot more green and more in line with the crest underneath. But it's so weird to see gradients on these crests. Let's see, the butterfly is another really strong example. Like, it's incredibly detailed for how small it is. You're not really going to be able to look at the crest and see, like, oh, hey, I can see that butterfly on there. No, it's not going to happen too much unless you're specifically inspecting them. But again, yeah, this one's got, like, a very strong gradient from a very, like, white, pearly color down to, like, a soft purple. Or a soft lilac. And it's very standout-ish, and I'm not too big a fan of it, because it feels very not in line with the general undertones and themes of Spiral Knights. I mean, the ant one, I mean, that is an ant. Thankfully, there's no, like, gradient here, but like, Spiral Knights crests aren't normally done like this. Spiral Knights crests are, if I can find an example here on the auction house, no, probably not. Let's see if I have any crests actually on me that I haven't used. Yeah, like the Deconstructor crest. I mean, well, in fairness, it's just kind of a symbol of a monster family, but it's not very flashy. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, here's a monster family. And even some of the non monster themed crests you get, they're just a checkerboard pattern, which, you know, that's kind of admittedly boring, but it, as you can see here with the Autumn crest, yeah, it's just a checkerboard pattern. I forget what the actual name for this type of heraldry pattern is, but it doesn't feel in line with Spiral Knights' style, and to culminate all this into one talking point, I feel like Spiral Knights is going down a potential route like TF2, where cosmetics are being added into the game less because, well, I mean, well, how do I put this? It feels like Team Fortress 2, with the general cosmetics being added into the game, feel very not TF2 style, and more so, I mean, like, they're visually mimicking and intentionally meant to be Spiral Knights' style, but it doesn't feel like Spiral Knights. Again, to pull up the volcanic pollinator, because this is the one that just always irks me if I can find it. There it is. You look at this helmet, you look at this armor piece, and you're like, what am I looking at? Let me take off the hammer and shield. That way you can just get, like, a better, closer look. Let's see, volcanic. I mean, I know these two armor pieces are not meant to go with each other, obviously, but from a visual standpoint, they're very, very different. I mean, look at all this shading around the edge here. Look at all this silver trim along the edge here, and like the slight shading as well. And, you know, you've specifically saw me keep bringing up the volcanic pollinator plane, and as you can tell, this does not look volcanic. I was doing some research with Soul last night, and we found out that the reason that volcanic looks like lovely mixed with the reason why volcanic looks like a mix between lovely and shadow armor, or shadow patterns, is because they decided to make a second they made a second color mapping template for these armors. Before, with Spiral Knight's cosmetics, all your cosmetics would have a blank color map file, or image, where it would be like red, blue, green, and I think maybe magenta for like personal color. That changes, so now this new one that they're using, I believe it's blue, cyan, and magenta. That leads to these pieces looking very thematically different, and that's why like certain color pieces don't look like they used to. I mean, like Heavy. Is this what Heavy looks like? Like, some of these look pretty similar to the original ones. Like Military, I don't know actually about Heavy, to be honest with you. Cool still looks kind of similar. Regal looks somewhat similar. Just taking a look here real quick. Let me see if I can find it. I should be looking at helmets, shouldn't I? We're gonna look up Arthropod just specifically because we can get like a visual on all of them. It really just might be Volcanic, to be honest with you. That's the worst offender. But the fact that they did this is a bit weird, because did they do this because it was simply easier and better for the people who made these cosmetics? Was it them not being able to work with the original ones? Is it because they want to try something new? I have no idea, but this map, this color map actually goes back to as far as the Wizards, which explains why some of the Wizard stuff has some weird shenanigans with it in terms of coloring. And we just kind of chalked it up due to like weirdness with the sets, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of the weirdness with the sets is because they actually used that new color mapping for those cosmetics. And so that's why that's the case. And then, like, talking about Honey real quick, I actually kind of like Honey, and honestly, the honey theme is actually quite nice. It's definitely an interesting choice of colors. Admittedly, I'll say this: I like the color of Honey. So I don't want to say everything about this box sucks, as much as I don't like the box. Like, again, I think that the Arthropod is the most salvageable thing from this, if it wasn't so high fidelity. And I know I shouldn't be using high fidelity as like a main argument point for Spiral Knights' art style given its age, but it's definitely got a style to it that feels like it's clashing with it a bit. Because like looking at some of these knights here from here, you know, we got some like this. I'm pretty sure this here, like this guy's helmet, this bombhead mask, is meant to be a little metallic. This guy's chaos set here is meant to be a little metallic. You look at this guy here, and you can see like the normal mapping on the ridges of his armor. The metallic bands on this guy's plate mail is extremely shiny. Even from a non-shine lit thing, from a lighting standpoint. There's a lot of like metal was never meant to shine, or never has shined in this game, and so seeing it actually like have proper shine for helmets like this is really strange. I mean, I'm gonna look it through. Okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna look through the helmets there. We're gonna look it through. Hopefully, find some like metallic. Like, I don't know if that's. I want to assume that's metal. This is meant to be metal. It doesn't shine. It's got light, noise, and accents around the edge, but that's a texture. That's not lighting. I mean, that's gel. That's not metal. Metal was never really designed to shine. And again, I was talking to Solo about this. You know, we found like things that in the files to make stuff look like they shine and stuff. So I don't know. It's weird to see stuff shine. And you know, maybe this is part of the modernization stuff, but I don't. Here's my opinion on this. I don't think the cosmetics are part of the modernization. I just think they're being released alongside modernization. So I don't want to chalk it up to the modernization of Spiral Knights necessarily. I think this is more so just something that's being released alongside stuff to help both keep the servers up and fund modernization projects. And that the other thing too is like, I if you like this stuff, by all means go ahead, buy it. Sure, go ahead. I don't want to be the one here to judge your opinion on what you think is good or wrong. I know I'm being extremely critical of this stuff. If you like this promo box, go ahead, buy it. It's not for me to say whether what you should and shouldn't buy. That's extremely disingenuous to me, or that would be extremely disingenuous to me, and I should not and I will not be doing that. I'm just saying I worry for Spiral Knights' future visual identity, because this is a very clear departure from what is normally the established norm we've had. I am fucking wrong about the shine. Okay, you know what? Okay, you know what? I'll take the L on that one. Sure. You know what? That one's on me. That one's on me. The metallic shine is on me. I'll definitely take the L on that one. However, there is one thing from this cosmetic set that is like both cool and actually fucking awful in my opinion. Like it's the Hive Hex aura. If you're anything familiar with Team Fortress 2's unusual effects and how they've been treated as of the past few years, you'll understand that there's a lot of effects in TF2 that are just kind of like has no reason to exist, or copies of another, or are extremely low quality. This is like, normally I don't care about like auras in Spiral Knights. They're benign enough unless you use the trails maliciously to affect people, but that's a whole other matter. This here, as an aura effect, is just fucking lazy. I will call it as it is. This is fucking slop. In my opinion, I've never, like, Spiral Knights has had some goofy or like weird and maybe even kind of arguably bad cosmetics or whatever. The Hex aura is literally something I just genuinely consider as fucking slop. These are PNGs that just float down onto the ground. And I know most effects are just PNGs that float down onto the ground and stuff, but there's nothing on the knight that actually like makes it look interesting. Like, we've got like this leaf aura here. He's wearing a cloak of leaves, and leaves sometimes fall down. There's something going on there. Keelhaul has you wearing a bunch of like sea stuff and you're dripping wet. These hex auras, or these hex honeycombs, metallic honeycombs, just float from fucking nothing onto the ground. I like haunted aura. You're haunted by auras, or you're haunted by auras. Fuck. Here, you've got auras literally just floating around you. Auras. I can't talk. Ghosts floating around you. It presents the idea that you're being haunted. I'm gonna type in aura to see what other auras we got. That actually opened up the forge. Aura. Again, as I was saying with Keelhaul aura, love kind of presents the idea that you're glowing, you look beautiful, and all that stuff. Orbit. You are the center of mass of both the sun and the moon, and you've got arms to like represent like a more mechanical look to this. And admittedly, this is more along the lines of like TF2 type unusual effects, but like at least here I feel like it doesn't feel lazy, because you can at least understand the theming of this, because Spiral Knights has actual arms that kind of like float in space, and Cradle is on an arm, or it has an arm attached to it, so there is thematic theming here. Grasping aura, you've got this thing coming from you, you've got a trail of tentacles sprawling from you, as much as it fucking lags people out. A lot of these have to do with the knight actually like having some sort of aura to it. This here isn't an aura. This is just particle effects just raining down onto the ground. And sure, it leaves a trail too, and the trail actually like lines up where if you walk around, it actually like the hexagons actually line up, and that's pretty cool. I'll give it that, but like this is just like this has nothing to do with the night. There is no aura about this for the night. This is just hexagons. This is slop. Fuck it. I don't care at this point. This is I think one of the worst, if not the worst, cosmetics in the game. This is slop. I'm not normally the type to be extremely opinionated about really much in Spiral Knights, but this has me like definitively down saying this is slop. This fucking sucks. I don't like this. This is actually awful. And with all of this, you know, as I was mentioning with TF2, with TF2's art style debate, you know, what all the new content, all of it new like cosmetics and stuff that's being released doesn't fit the visual theme of TF2. Sure, TF2's visual identity has evolved over the years, be it for the better or worse. You can most definitely argue the same thing with Spiral Knights now, but as of the Wizard update, we've most definitely seen a very drastic change in visual and with visual and thematic differences between cosmetics and the game itself, be it for better or for worse. But I think I am genuinely concerned for the future of Spiral Knights in terms of its promos and cosmetics, because a lot of it doesn't feel like it fits in line with the game. And sure, you can argue that these are just cosmetics, much like TF2. These are just cosmetics. They don't actually affect gameplay. You're right. Well, I mean, there was a wizard there was a wizard wand, but again, that's less of a new weapon and more of a reskin. But you know, it's very strange to see stuff like it's very much strange to see stuff like this compared alongside something like this. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't feel visually right. And it doesn't look good. I don't think, like, a lot of these cosmetics in general from this box don't look good in my opinion. And, you know, that's up to personal interpretation. That's fine. But as well as, like, some of the other stuff, like the pollinator stuff, it looks so out of line with what a lot of the Spiral Knights cosmetics already are that I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't think it will sit right with at least a few other people as well. I've already heard contrasting opinions about this. I've heard some people say they love this box. I've heard some people they don't like a lot of the cosmetics from this box. I'm not here to... Well, maybe... I mean... by making this video, I guess by nature, I am trying to persuade you or convince you that, like, I don't like this stuff. But again, you know, if you like this stuff, by all means, continue liking it. I am just concerned about the visual identity of this game a little bit, and sure, you know, with the TF2 stuff, I feel like I'm the zesty Jesus of Spiral Knights right now with this cosmetic, and because of this box, my opinions about the Wizard box is unfortunately degraded. As cool as the Wizard stuff is, it's still very much kind of a departure from Spiral Knights' general cosmetic theme. Like this, at least this feels more in line with Spiral Knights' stuff. If I can find some of the Wizard stuff, the Magister's robe, like this is very highly detailed. Like these are very shiny. These are the what is this rope? It's like, why is this rope really thick? That's kind of weird now I think about it. It's very, very jarring compared to a lot of older Spiral Knights stuff, and I don't want to sound like the old boomer that's like old Spiral Knights is better. Spiral Knights very much visually could go with an update, but I don't know. At the same time, a lot of the minimalist, fuzzy, angular detailing is kind of, at this point, central to Spiral Knights' identity. But I don't know, even the wizard stuff just doesn't look like it. I mean, obviously you're comparing wizards and mechanical bugs, but it doesn't look like those two fit at all, or like could be alongside each other. Like a lot of this stuff doesn't look like it looks like it's in a different game or a completely different style. It's just, yeah, I like this, like, you know, wizard hat and onesie, those shouldn't belong together, but at least it still feels like it has the same visual style, at least. Let's go with like the robe and the helmet just to see how that looks. Again, the helmet just feels weirdly more, feels like it's got more visual fidelity to it, whereas this, where the robe still slightly feels in line with Spiral Knight's style a little bit. Maybe I'm nitpicking too much, but I don't like this, and I feel like this could go down a concerningly, I don't want to say concerningly bad path, but a concerning path. I'm pretty sure I've said this before in a video, but in case I haven't, I am optimistically cautious about the new updates for Spiral Knights. Not that the modernization is bad, although there are problems to it. Spiral Knights has been experiencing a few problems from said modernization updates, mainly crashing in particular. I'm excited to see the improvements being added to Spiral Knights, but at the same time, there's some playtesting that hasn't been done, and I am a little worried about that. The visual theming of the new prize boxes, thematically, visually, and conceptually, are a little something to be worried about. And I'm not sure if this is, again, something I've said in the video, but I'd almost prefer, if Spiral Knights goes down a concerning path, I would almost prefer no updates compared to updates, because at least with no updates, things can't get worse, or at least they shouldn't. Because with TF2, for the longest time, you know, they've been progressively getting no updates or worse updates, and it's only made the game worse. And at that point, it's like, well, no updates are better, because, like, at least things can't go further downhill from there. And maybe that's me taking things in a pessimistic look, but, you know, I like Spiral Knights. I don't want this game to die. I'm glad it's getting modernization updates, but there are things that have given me my reservations. And this is not me saying I don't like Grey Havens or whatever. I'm just concerned about the state of the game. This is my favorite game, and I'd like for it to stay around as long as possible, and at least keep its identity. And again, at the end of the day, these cosmetics, they're fucking cosmetics. Who the fuck cares? In the grand scheme of things, it's a fucking video game. Go get a life, you loser. But, like, yeah, no, I mean, I'm just optimistically cautiously optimistic, if not leaning into slightly concerned. And I just hope that everything eventually just works out in the end. I think I've fairly stated my piece. I feel like if I say anything more, I'm just going to start looping into a circle of repeated rhetoric and logic and reasoning and statements. So, with that, I think I'm going to call it there with that video. I don't know how I'm going to go about this video. This is a completely off-the-cuff video because I feel like if I try talking about this in a scripted sort of manner, I'm not going to get all the points off I've wanted to. I feel like I'm also a bit more stiff and will probably stifle a little bit if I try doing a scripted video, so I did my best to do this off the cuff. And if I receive backlash for this, honestly, that's fine. It's a video that I feel like I want to make because you know, again, I'm optimistically cautious about this game and its current direction. Because, I mean, again, even with the modernization stuff, you know, I scale stuff up to 105, I can see the pixelization of the text. You know, this is not a proper upscaling. This is a size modifier. That's all that is. I'm no game dev, but even I can tell that. I like this game. I'm a little mainly this is mainly for the box art style. I'm like the visual art style, but even in general, like Spiral Knight's current state of the game, despite getting modernization, is worrying me because I've had crashes for no reason. In missions have literally started getting flashbanged, and apparently that's not a new thing either. That's been something that's been happening since the Wizard box. I mean, let me go check this out real quick just to make sure if it's still happening. I'm just gonna find an enemy. I'm gonna get hit by an enemy, because that's what caused me to get flashbanged. And I know I have my sound. Okay, so it's not happening now, but yesterday when I was doing my prestige mission, I was, every time I got hit by an enemy, I would just get flashbanged by my screen going white, and even for a while, it just stayed permanently white. And I don't understand why that's happening. In Spark's video, where he's doing some unboxing, the icons, whenever you would open up a box, they would clip through player names. I have never seen that before. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, there's some side effects to this modernization that haven't been tested or been brought to attention, and some of these are pretty bad. Crashing and getting flashbang during gameplay is actually fucking awful. And again, further leads me to my case of, well, that wouldn't have happened if the updates hadn't happened. Is no updates better than any update? I don't know. And, you know, I'm happy to see that Spiral Knights is getting a little bit of love, but the love it's getting is not perfect. Not that it should be per se, but there are problems. Again, you know, if I say anything more, I'll become a rotating cog of rhetoric. So with that, I am going to end this video, and I should probably think about getting back to making an actual proper long form video that isn't the Let's Plays. I have zero idea how I'm going to edit this video, but we'll see. But with that, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching today's video about me ranting for almost an hour. Who knows how long this will actually get cut down to, if at all. But with that, I'd like to bid you guys farewell. Bye-bye.